Absolutely not, Commander Vrock bellowed, his three upper appendages waving in what humans might recognize as frustration. No human could possibly withstand the atmospheric conditions on Drakkar 9. The discussion is over. I should mention that I, Xandor Palix, chief xenobiologist aboard the galactic exploration vessel Horizon Seeker, have witnessed my fair share of impossibilities during my 63 cycles of service. But the stubbornness of our commander regarding human capabilities continued to astound me. "But sir," I countered, trying to keep my voice modulated despite my growing annoyance, "the data suggests otherwise." The human representative, Dr. Amara Torres, has presented compelling evidence that their new environmental suits could. Evidence? Hey, Commander Vrock's facial ridges flushed a deep purple. Their evidence comes from simulations run on inferior computing systems. We have lost 3 Xanthari exploration teams on Drakkar 9, and they possess twice the respiratory efficiency of humans. The bridge fell silent. 20 pairs of eyes from 6 different species all avoided contact with either myself or the commander. Nobody wanted to get involved in this particular argument. Again. Truth be told, I found humans fascinating. While most species in the Galactic Confederation had evolved with specific advantages, the Xanthari, with their multi-chambered lungs, my own Palaxian people with our adaptive skin membrane humans possessed. Well, nothing particularly special. No extraordinary strength, no enhanced senses, no biological adaptations that would make them superior survivors. Yet somehow these unremarkable bipeds had not only survived but thrived. They'd recovered from planetary disasters, overcome resource shortages, and expanded throughout their solar system with shocking speed. And now they wanted to join our expedition to Drakkar 9. "Commander," I tried again, "perhaps we could allow Dr. Torres to demonstrate their suit's capabilities in our atmospheric testing chamber? That would provide empirical data rather than relying on." "Fine," Vrock barked, clearly hoping to end the conversation. "Set it up for tomorrow's cycle. But when their suit fails, as it inevitably will, I want it documented that I opposed this waste of resources from the beginning." I bowed slightly, hiding my satisfaction. "Of course, Commander. I will make the arrangements immediately." As I exited the bridge, my communication device buzzed against my wrist. A message from Dr. Torres. "Any luck convincing your stubborn commander?" I couldn't help but smile. For creatures with such dull sensory capabilities, humans demonstrated remarkable perception regarding interpersonal dynamics. "The testing approved for tomorrow," I replied. "Though I should warn you, he's expecting failure." "Perfect," came her immediate response. I love exceeding low expectations. The atmospheric testing chamber occupied nearly a quarter of our science deck, a massive transparent dome designed to replicate the conditions of any planet we might encounter. Today, its interior swirled with the toxic orange-brown gases characteristic of Drakkar 9's hostile atmosphere. Commander Vrock stood beside me, arms crossed, watching as Dr. Torres prepared her environmental suit. Unlike our bulky exploration gear, the human suit appeared surprisingly minimal, a sleek, silver-gray second skin with a transparent helmet that seemed impossibly thin. "That's their advanced technology?" Vrock scoffed. "It looks like festival attire, not protective equipment." Dr. Jamal Nadiri, the human engineering specialist who had joined our crew 3 months ago, smiled politely. "Appearances can be deceiving, Commander. The outer layer consists of a carbon nanomesh with over 40 million microscopic filtration points per square centimeter." "Impressive statistics," Vrock replied dryly. "Numbers won't matter much when she's choking on sulfur dioxide." I shot the commander a disapproving glance, but Dr. Nadiri seemed unfazed. Humans often displayed this peculiar ability to remain calm in the face of direct hostility, a trait I'd initially mistaken for obliviousness, but he had come to recognize as a form of social strategy. Over by the chamber entrance, Dr. Torres finished her preparations. She caught my eye and gave a quick thumbs-up, a human gesture I'd learned indicated readiness or approval. "Atmospheric conditions are set to match Drakkar 9 surface readings," announced Tella, our Venturi atmospheric specialist, Your whispered thin voice barely audible through the monitoring system. Temperature at 347 Kelvin, pressure at 4.2 standard atmospheres, composition includes 28% sulfur dioxide, 15% methane, 12% nitrogen oxide compounds. As Tella continued reading off the lethal cocktail of gases, I noticed several crew members shifting uncomfortably. Even through our advanced life support systems, exposure to such an environment would cause most species severe distress within minutes and death within hours. Oxygen content? Commander Vrock asked sharply. 0.03%, Tella replied. Effectively none, sir. Vrock turned toward Dr. Torres with what I recognized as smug satisfaction. Your species requires oxygen concentrations of at least 19% to function, correct? How exactly do you plan to survive in there? Dr. Torres tapped the small unit attached to her back. Oxygen conversion system. It can extract and process trace elements from almost any atmospheric composition. For how long? I asked, genuinely curious. Theoretically? Indefinitely, she replied. The system regenerates using ambient energy. As long as there's some form of thermal differential or electromagnetic radiation, it can operate continuously. Commander Vrock snorted. Theoretical indeed. Let's see how it performs in reality. Proceed with the test. Dr. Torres stepped into the chamber's entry port. The heavy door sealed behind her with a pneumatic hiss, and I found myself holding my breath as the interior atmosphere began flooding into the small space. The chamber's sensors displayed her vital signs in real time: heart rate, body temperature, oxygen saturation. All remained remarkably steady as the deadly atmosphere enveloped her. First stage complete, Tella announced. Entry port now matches chamber conditions. Inner door opening in 3, 2, 1. The inner door slid open, and Dr. Torres stepped confidently into the main chamber. The swirling toxic gases momentarily obscured her from view before the chamber's visualization systems compensated, revealing her standing calmly amidst the poisonous environment. Vital signs holding steady, reported Tella, a note of surprise in her voice. No detectable leakage in the suit. Oxygen saturation at 99%. Commander Vrock leaned forward, his earlier confidence visibly shaken. Increased temperature by 50 Kelvin. I started to protest such a rapid temperature spike would stress even our most advanced systems, but Dr. Torres's voice came through the communication channel. Go ahead. The suit can handle it. The chamber's temperature controls glowed red as heat poured into the environment. The toxic gases swirled more violently as thermal currents formed. 397 Kelvin achieved, Tella announced. That's hot enough to melt certain metals, sir. Dr. Torres stretched her arms casually. Feels like a sauna in here, but nothing unbearable. The suit's cooling systems are managing nicely. Commander Vrock's facial ridges had darkened to an almost black purple, a sign of intense agitation among his species. Add electrical storm conditions, he ordered. Category 3 intensity. Now, several crew members protested simultaneously, but Vrock silenced them with a sharp gesture. If this suit is going to be used on Drakkar 9, it needs to withstand the planet's frequent electrical storms. Proceed. Artificial lightning began to crackle through the toxic atmosphere, brilliant blue-white arcs that made my skin membrane contract protectively. One bolt struck directly at Dr. Torres, and I gasped involuntarily. But instead of harming her, the electricity seemed to flow around her suit, dissipating harmlessly into the chamber floor. Would you like me to collect some atmospheric samples while I'm in here? Dr. Torres asked casually, as if she weren't standing in an environment that should have killed her several times over by now. And might as well make the test productive. I couldn't help but laugh at her nonchalance, earning a glare from Commander Vrock. The commander turned to Tella. Pressure increase. Double it. Sir, Tella protested, that would exceed the chamber's safety parameters. Do it, he growled. Dr. Nadiri stepped forward. Commander, with respect, you are now testing the limitations of your equipment, not ours. Dr. Torres's suit can withstand pressures up to 12 atmospheres, but your chamber may not be designed for such extremes. For a moment I thought Vrock might order the pressure increase anyway, out of pure stubbornness. Instead, he deflated slightly. Fine. End the test. We have seen enough. As the chamber began its purging sequence, replacing the toxic brew with breathable air, Dr. Torres maintained her position at the center, seemingly unaffected by the 90 minutes she'd spent in conditions that would have liquefied the lungs of most species. When she finally emerged, removing her helmet with a pressurized click, her dark hair slightly damp with perspiration but otherwise appearing perfectly comfortable, even Commander Vrock couldn't maintain his skepticism. The suit performs adequately, he admitted reluctantly. But Drakkar 9 presents challenges beyond atmospheric conditions. The terrain is treacherous, the local fauna highly aggressive, and our previous expeditions encountered anomalous energy patterns that disrupted communications and equipment function. Dr. Torres smiled, revealing those strangely flat teeth that humans possessed. That's why we came prepared with more than just environmental suits. She turned to Dr. Nadiri. Jamal, would you mind bringing in the rest of our equipment? What followed was nothing short of astonishing. The humans had developed specialized gear for nearly every contingency: terrain adaptive footwear, biosignature masking technology to avoid predator detection, and communications systems allegedly immune to the electromagnetic disruptions that had severed our connections with previous teams. By the end of their presentation, even Commander Vrock appeared grudgingly impressed. Very well, he conceded. Your team may join the expedition. But he added, raising one appendage in warning, you will follow our protocols exactly. Any deviation could endanger the entire mission. Dr. Torres nodded seriously. Of course, Commander. We are here to collaborate, not complicate. As the meeting dispersed, I approached Dr. Torres privately. That was quite impressive, I admitted. But I'm curious, why is your species so determined to explore Drakkar 9? The planet holds few resources compatible with human physiology. She considered my question for a moment, her brown eyes reflecting a depth of thought that continually surprised me in humans. Have you heard the human expression, because it's there? I shook my head. When asked why he wanted to climb Earth's highest mountain, a dangerous feat that offered no material reward, one of our explorers simply said, because it's there. That's part of what drives us. But there's more. She gestured toward the viewport, where Drakkar 9's ominous orange surface was visible in the distance. Every hostile environment teaches us something new about survival, and survival is what humans do best. Her words stuck with me as I returned to my quarters and reviewed the expedition plans. Perhaps there was something remarkable about humans after all, not in their biology, but in their relentless determination. 3 days later, our expedition landed on Drakkar 9's surface. Despite all the testing and preparation, nothing could quite prepare us for the reality of the planet. The toxic winds howled across barren plains of black volcanic glass. Electrical storms illuminated the horizon in constant, strobing flashes. Gravity, slightly stronger than standard, pulled uncomfortably at our limbs. Our team consisted of 12 members, 4 Zinthari for their atmospheric analysis capabilities, 3 Venturi including Tella, 2 Palaxians including myself, Commander Vrock, and the 2 humans Dr. Torres and Dr. Nadiri. We established a base camp near one of the anomalous energy signatures detected from orbit, our primary research objective. The first 2 days proceeded without incident. The humans' equipment performed admirably, and even Commander Vrock seemed to relax slightly, though he still insisted on personally approving their every movement outside the base. On the 3rd day, everything changed. The 3rd day began with an ominous rumble that vibrated through our base's reinforced structure. Initially, we dismissed it as another of Drakkar 9's frequent seismic events. The planet, still geologically active in ways that made our scientists nervous, produced such tremors hourly. Sensor array is picking up something unusual, Tella reported, her slender fingers dancing across her monitoring station. Energy signatures fluctuating wildly about 6 kilometers west of our position. Commander Vrock frowned, his facial ridges tensing. It could be interference from the atmospheric conditions. Recalibrate and confirm. Already did, sir, Tella responded, her normally soft voice tightening with concern. Readings are consistent. Whatever it is, it's massive and moving. Now that got everyone's attention. Drakkar 9's known fauna consisted primarily of silicon-based microorganisms that thrived in the toxic soup that passed for an atmosphere. Nothing massive had ever been documented. Visual confirmation? I asked, moving to peer over Tella's shoulder at the readouts. Impossible through this atmosphere, she replied. Visibility beyond 1 kilometer is near zero, and our orbital imaging is hampered by the electrical storms. Commander Vrock's appendages twitched in what I recognized as his decision-making gesture. We need direct observation. Prepare a surface expedition. My suit's ready, Dr. Torres interjected. She'd been quietly monitoring her own equipment in the corner of our command center. The energy patterns matched those we detected in the initial surveys. This could be exactly what we came to study. Absolutely not, Vrock snapped. This is potentially dangerous. I will lead a team of Zinthari scouts. Dr. Torres raised an eyebrow. With respect, Commander, the Zinthari suits aren't designed for rapid deployment. My equipment can be operational in under 3 minutes, and I can move twice as fast over the terrain. She's right, I found myself saying, surprised by my own intervention. And the human suits have proven remarkably resilient. The commander glared at me, clearly displeased by my support of the human. Fine. Dr. Torres may accompany the expedition, but under no circumstances is she to separate from the group. Understood? Dr. Torres nodded, but I caught the faintest hint of what humans call a smirk at the corner of her mouth. Perfectly, Commander. The expedition team assembled quickly. 2 Zinthari scouts, myself as scientific officer, Commander Vrock, and Dr. Torres. Dr. Nadiri remained at base camp with the others to monitor communications and provide technical support if needed. Stepping outside onto the surface of Drakkar 9 was always a jarring experience, even in protective gear. The howling winds carried particles of volcanic glass that pinged against our suits like miniature projectiles. Visibility extended barely 50 meters in any direction, the orange-brown atmosphere thick as soup. Electrical discharges flickered constantly, creating an eerie, strobe-like effect that distorted perception. The energy source bearing 278 degrees, approximately 5.8 kilometers, reported one of the Zinthari scouts consulting his navigation display. Signal strength increasing. Proceed with caution, Commander Vrock ordered. Standard formation, 5-meter spacing. We moved across the shattered landscape slowly, our progress hampered by the treacherous terrain. Jagged formations of volcanic glass alternated with patches of fine, powder-like substance that seemed to swallow our footsteps. The planet's higher gravity made each step more laborious than it would have been elsewhere. After about 20 minutes of careful advance, the ground beneath us changed. The blackish surface gave way to something smoother, almost polished in appearance. Interesting, I murmured, kneeling to examine it more closely. This appears to be artificially constructed. Possible, Commander Vrock declared. No intelligent species has ever been documented on Drakkar 9. Dr. Torres crouched beside me, running her gloved hand over the surface. Seems like a road or pathway, and look at the pattern, it curves ahead exactly toward our energy reading. The commander bristled visibly. All the more reason for caution. This could be. His words were cut short by a violent tremor that nearly knocked us off our feet. The smooth surface beneath us vibrated with increasing intensity, energy readings spiking. Shouted one of the Zinthari, his voice tight with alarm. Something's coming this way. Fast. Through the swirling toxic haze, a massive shape emerged, a silhouette so large that at first my brain refused to process it as a single entity. It moved with surprising speed for its size, gliding over the smooth pathway we'd been following. Back to base. Commander Vrock ordered, retreat immediately. We turned to flee, but another violent tremor knocked me forward. My suit's external sensor unit struck a sharp protrusion, and warning lights flashed across my helmet display. Atmosphere integrity compromised, the most terrifying message any explorer can receive on a hostile world. Palix is hit, Dr. Torres shouted. She was at my side instantly, examining the damage to my suit. Breach in the primary membrane. Backup systems engaging, but they won't last long in this environment. Commander Vrock hesitated, visibly torn between his duty to the mission and his responsibility for crew safety. How long? 15 minutes, maybe less, I managed, fighting the surge of panic as my suit's emergency systems hissed and whirred, struggling to maintain a breathable atmosphere. The massive shape was now clearly visible, a colossal machine of some sort, hovering above the pathway. It emitted pulses of energy that our sensors registered as similar to the anomalous patterns we'd detected from orbit. "We can't outrun that thing back to base," Dr. Torres stated flatly. "And Palix won't make it anyway." She pointed toward a dark opening that had become visible in the side of a nearby rock formation. "There, that looks like shelter." "We don't know what's in there," Vrock objected. "We know what's out here," Torres countered, "and it's about to run us over." "Decision time, Commander." Another violent tremor settled the debate. "To the cave," Vrock ordered. "Move." Half dragged by Torres and one of the Zinthari scouts, I staggered toward the opening. My vision was already beginning to blur as my suit struggled to filter the toxic gases beginning to seep through the damaged section. The cave mouth loomed ahead, a darker patch against the overall gloom of Drakkar 9's perpetual twilight. And as we reached the entrance, the massive machine halted its advance. From its underside, smaller objects detached and began moving in our direction. "Drones," gasped the Zinthari scout. "We are being hunted." We stumbled deeper into the cave, which proved to be more of a tunnel, sloping downward at a gentle angle. The smooth, regular walls suggested artificial construction rather than natural formation. "Commander," I wheezed, my breathing becoming labored, "this structure, it's not natural. Something built this." "Save your oxygen," Torres instructed, helping me further along the passage. "Conserve your strength." My suit's warning indicators were now flashing red across every system. The toxic atmosphere of Drakkar 9 was beginning to affect my physiology. My skin membrane, usually my species' first line of defense against environmental threats, burned with contact from the corrosive gases. "Can't go further," I managed, my legs buckling beneath me. "You continue. Find out what this place is." Commander Vrock looked at the Zinthari scouts. "One of you, stay with Palix. The other, come with me. We will scout ahead for any possible exit or shelter." Dr. Torres was examining my suit's breach more carefully. "This is bad," she muttered, more to herself than to me. "The corrosion is spreading along the seams." Through my increasingly foggy consciousness, I was aware of Vrock and one scout disappearing deeper into the tunnel while the other Zinthari stood guard nearby. Torres was doing something with her equipment pack, pulling out components and tools with practiced efficiency. "What are you doing?" I asked, each word an effort. "Something incredibly stupid," she replied, with that strange human expression they call a grin that indicates either amusement or extreme stress. Sometimes both simultaneously. "I'm going to share my suit with you." "Impossible," I protested weakly. "Different physiologies. Your oxygen would kill me." "And not sharing the atmosphere," she clarified, working quickly. "Sharing the containment field. My suit can project an extended barrier for short periods. It's designed for emergency evacuation of injured teammates." The Zinthari scout looked alarmed. "But that would expose your suit to direct atmospheric contact." "The human integrity systems aren't designed for." "I know exactly what they are designed for," Torres interrupted, continuing her work. "Trust me, this will function. Temporarily, at least." My vision was darkening around the edges now. I felt Torres connecting components to both our suits, her movements precise despite the awkward confines of her protective gear. "This will feel strange," she warned. "Ready? 3, 2, 1. A surge of energy pulsed from her suit to mine. The warning indicators on my display flickered, then stabilized into caution yellow rather than crisis red. I could breathe again, though each inhalation burned slightly. How? I managed to ask. My suit is now powering both containment fields, she explained, her voice noticeably strained. But it's an immense power drain. We have maybe 10 minutes before my systems fail too. The Zinthari Scouts communication unit crackled. Commander Vrock to surface team. We have found something. Some kind of control center. Ancient technology. The tunnel extends at least another kilometer. We need to move, Torres decided. Can you stand, Palix? With her assistance, I managed to get to my feet. We began making our way deeper into the tunnel, following the path Vrock had taken. The passage gradually widened, the walls covered in what appeared to be inscriptions or symbols in no language I recognized. Look at these markings, Torres said, her scientific curiosity apparently undiminished despite our dire situation. They are similar to patterns we discovered in ancient ruins on Venus. Venus? I questioned, struggling to keep up with her quickened pace. Your second planet? But it's as inhospitable as Drakkar 9. Not always, she replied. Venus was once potentially habitable billions of years ago, before its atmosphere underwent catastrophic transformation. Before I could process the implications of this, we emerged into a vast chamber that took my breath away, what little I had left of it, anyway. The space stretched hundreds of meters in every direction, filled with machinery of incomprehensible design. At its center stood Commander Vrock and the Zinthari Scout, staring up at a pulsing column of energy. What is this place? Torres asked, her voice filled with wonder. Some kind of atmospheric processor, Vrock replied, uncharacteristically subdued. According to the Scout's readings, it's been running for millions of years. And it's failing. As we approached the central column, I could see displays illuminated with similar symbols to those in the tunnel. Torres studied them intently. These are definitely related to the Venusian inscriptions, she muttered. If I'm interpreting correctly, this facility was built to maintain Drakkar 9's atmospheric composition. Maintain? I questioned. You mean this toxic environment is artificial? Torres nodded slowly. This planet wasn't always like this. The processor was designed to create these conditions, the sulfur dioxide, the electrical storms, all of it. But why? Commander Vrock demanded. What possible purpose? Attainment, Torres interrupted, pointing to a specific sequence of symbols. This isn't a terraforming facility. It's a prison. A deep rumble shook the chamber, more violent than before. Portions of the ceiling began to crack, raining debris around us. The energy fluctuations, gasped the Zinthari Scout. They are not random. The system is breaking down in sequence. We need to get out of here, Commander Vrock declared. Now. Torres was still examining the controls. Wait, I think I can stabilize it. These patterns match theoretical models we developed for atmospheric manipulation. If I can just... No time. Vrock shouted as larger chunks of ceiling crashed down. The entire structure is collapsing. But Torres was already interfacing her suit systems with the ancient controls. You go? I need 2 more minutes. Don't be absurd, I protested. Your suit is already overtaxed maintaining my field. It can't handle this too. She gave me that human expression again, the smile that conveys so many conflicting emotions. Then I will have to work fast, won't I? Go. Get back to the entrance. I will be right behind you. Commander Vrock grabbed my arm. We have no choice. She's made her decision. As we retreated toward the tunnel, I looked back to see Torres surrounded by the pulsing energy from the central column, her suit glowing with transferred power as she worked the alien controls. The journey back was a blur of pain and fading consciousness, and my suit's systems, temporarily stabilized by Torres's intervention, were failing again. The Zinthari Scout practically carried me the final stretch to the tunnel entrance. Outside, the atmospheric conditions had changed dramatically. The swirling toxic clouds were dispersing, revealing streaks of actual sunlight piercing through. Impossible. Commander Vrock whispered, staring upward. The atmosphere is clearing? Our base camp contacted us, voices frantic with confusion and excitement. Commander. Our readings indicate massive atmospheric transformation occurring planet-wide. Sulfur dioxide levels dropping, oxygen increasing. What's happening? Vrock had no answer. None of us did. We could only watch as the ominous orange-brown sky gradually shifted towards something clearer, more breathable. My suit finally gave up the ghost as we reached the expedition vehicle sent to retrieve us. I collapsed, expecting the burning agony of toxic gas exposure. Instead, I found myself gulping air that, while still acrid and uncomfortable, didn't immediately kill me. The atmosphere, gasped the Zinthari scout. It's changing back to its original composition. Back at base camp, chaos reigned as our scientists struggled to comprehend the planetary transformation occurring around us. Within hours, Drakkar 9's atmosphere had changed from lethally toxic to merely unpleasant. Oxygen levels rose to nearly 15%, insufficient for humans under normal circumstances, but combined with their technology, potentially survivable. Of Dr. Torres, there was no sign. Commander Vrock ordered search teams, but the ancient facility had collapsed entirely, buried under millions of tons of rock. She sacrificed herself, Vrock stated during the emergency briefing, his voice uncharacteristically solemn. Apparently to reverse whatever process was maintaining the toxic atmosphere. But why? Asked Tella. Why would she do that? Dr. Nadiri, who had been unnervingly calm throughout the crisis, finally spoke. Because that's what humans do. We fix things, even when they are not our responsibility. We interfere, even when we are told not to. Some would call it our greatest flaw, others our greatest strength. 3 days later, as we prepared to abandon the mission and return to orbit, our perimeter alarms triggered. Something was approaching from the direction of the collapsed facility. Through the still hazy atmosphere, a lone figure emerged, walking with a slow but steady gait. The tattered remains of a silver-gray environmental suit gleamed in the strengthening sunlight. Impossible, Commander Vrock breathed. Dr. Torres reached the base perimeter and collapsed. Medical teams rushed out, bringing her inside where Dr. Nadiri immediately took charge of treatment. Hours later, when she regained consciousness, we gathered around her bed, each of us burning with questions. How? I asked simply. Torres's face was burned from atmospheric exposure, her voice raspy from damage to her respiratory system. The facility had emergency protocols. When I initiated the atmospheric reversal, it deployed safety measures, some kind of stasis field. I was preserved until the process completed. You reversed millions of years of atmospheric engineering, Commander Vrock stated. Why? The containment was failing anyway, she replied. The readings showed catastrophic collapse within days. The prison was breaking. Better to control the process than let it happen chaotically. Prison? Tella questioned. What was it containing? Torres's eyes met mine. The facility's records weren't complete. But whatever ancient species built it, they used this entire planet to contain something they feared. Something they couldn't destroy, only imprison in an environment that would neutralize it. A chill ran through me. And now? Now, Torres managed a weak laugh. Now we have got about 3 months before Drakkar 9 becomes the most valuable real estate in this sector of the galaxy. Breathable atmosphere, manageable gravity, abundant minerals. Once word gets out, there will be a rush to claim it. Commander Vrock's facial ridges flushed dark with emotion, not anger this time, but something closer to respect. You knew this would happen? This was your mission all along? Torres shook her head. My mission was to determine if the atmospheric anomalies could be studied. Discovering an ancient prison facility wasn't exactly in the briefing. She paused, then added, sometimes you just have to improvise. 1 month later, as our vessel prepared to depart Drakkar 9, now officially redesignated as New Horizon by the Galactic Confederation, I found myself standing with Dr. Torres on an observation deck, watching teams of researchers and developers from a dozen species beginning the work of establishing the first permanent settlement. They said humans couldn't survive that planet, I remarked. Then you walked out alive. Torres smiled. We hear that a lot across the galaxy. Humans can't survive there. Humans can't adapt to that. Humans aren't suited for this task. She gestured toward the bustling activity below. Yet somehow we manage. Perhaps, I suggested, it's time the Confederation reconsidered its assessment of your species. Perhaps, she agreed, that human smile playing across her face again. Or perhaps it's better if you keep underestimating us. Makes it all the more satisfying when we surprise you. As our ship lifted off from New Horizon, leaving behind the transformed world and its ancient mysteries, I couldn't help but wonder what other impossibilities these remarkably unremarkable beings would accomplish next. Because if there's one thing I have learned about humans, it's that telling them something can't be done is the surest way to ensure they will do it anyway. And somehow, against all logic and probability, they will walk out alive,